You got to have a plan. Bill's going to share.
It'll probably end up being nothing in the end, but they have to investigate it, right? Yeah.
Okay, can I have your attention? We're going to start this meeting.
Yeah, I got you. Okay. Good to see you. Yes. Same here. Okay.
Oh,
Practice swinging it, huh?
I don't want to hurt anybody.
Back to old times, huh?
You don't want to go there.
Got up that credit card already, right?
Get a roll call. Richard's here.
Gale's here.
Coleman here.
Scully here.
Shepherd here. Fred, I think you're going to be voting today. I'm voting today, okay. All right. Minutes.
One correction. Item 6,
It's Scully twice.
making the motion and seconding it. Which
You
I
did a
think
good
is allowed.
job.
All right, we can.
Good catch, Bob.
Good catch. We'll correct that.
Any other corrections? Get a motion on minutes.
Move to approve with the change.
Second. Shepherd seconds. Roll call. Richard's aye.
Gale, aye.
Coleman, aye.
Shepherd aye. Cool. All right, item number 1. PD.
I'll go there, if this is
Number
working.
4, actually. Yeah.
Is this on? Can you hear me?
That was our recording? Yeah.
It's on? All right. I'm Steve Anderson, the Chief of Police.
That was you hiding in the back?
That's my corner. Yes. I'm here to discuss the police department has been researching going to a body camera program for many years. We've had some form of camera system since 1995, going back all the way to when MAD gave us the VCR camcorders that went in our squads. And then we've had the entire fleet covered, all of our MARC squads since 2007. So when Chief Edwards was here, this started about 6 to 7 years ago, we started researching body camera programs before everything that's been going on now. We were ready to move forward, but throughout this time, products change, a new product's coming out, storage capacities change, so there's been a lot of delays in here. We've been working with our information technology group for a long time on this. leading up to 2017, when we actually requested funds to be set aside through the CIP CEP program. And so there's money sitting there to implement a body camera program. One thing that has come up, our current squad video equipment is coming up to 11 years, almost all of them. I think we have 2, maybe 3 that are newer. So the idea of this is to get a body camera that works with our squad system. So we're using the same software we're using. They'll work together in our recordings. They can be lined up. So what I'm asking for right now is to move forward with it's a little bit over what was already approved, and I've discussed this with the administrator and deputy city administrator. $75,000 was set aside for the body camera program. You have quotes in here for 4 squads to be set up with the new equipment, which is the amount of squads we're going to be replacing this year. But purchasing 24 body cameras, that's not enough to cover everybody, but what that gives us is the ability to have everybody in a marked squad that's out patrolling wear a body camera. There'd be backup ones at the station, so when they come in, the cameras can be switched out, uploaded to the server, the video can, and the next shift going out will have a camera ready to go out. So we planned on that. The new camera, some of the technology changes, these cameras allow to have batteries interchanged, where in the past they all had internal batteries and they'd last about 1.5 years. So now we would have to replace a battery, not a camera. And one of the other major components of this whole CIP, CEP process for this is having the proper storage capacity for all of the video that we're going to be capturing. The goal will be, we've been working on a policy for this for 1 year or so. So we'll have a policy ready to go. We'll have our officers trained. It's going to take some time to get all of our equipment in, but the storage will be recording many more interactions with the public than we've been capturing just with our squad videos. Our squad videos, also the microphones only go out to about, if you get in a structure, you lose signal, so they're not recording anymore. They go out a couple 100 feet from the squad, and if you get past that, you lose connection, you lose signal, so we don't have any of those recordings captured. The body cameras will they'll work with the system, they'll be standalone, so they'll be recording no matter where you're at, as long as they're activated. Part of this big package you'll see in the quotes in there, I was working with information technology, is having the server system capacity to capture and save all of these videos for open records. Kevin, the IT director, is in here if there's a question related to that, but we're working very close with their team for that portion of it as well. So I'm requesting the $92,137 will purchase what has been set up in there. The other ongoing commitment with this is we replace our squads on a 3-year level. So I'd be asking for a commitment in the future as the new squads come in and they have to be rotated out. Their camera systems will have to be upgraded. And so that's not a part of this quote. I just wanted to make that clear. The new squad cameras every year, that replacing 3 to 4 in-car video systems, we'd already have the body camera portion, but we'd have to upgrade the in-car video system with those. So it's over a multi-year process instead of getting hit with all of that at once. It is an expandable system, so if we ever want to add additional body cameras to this program, we can. We've discussed a lot of different aspects of this related to open records and what this does for us. We think we have some workarounds to make sure we maintain all of our open records concerns with this as well. So I'll take any questions you may have of me.
Steve, the gap in the funding is coming out of?
Andrew did not specify where unless we gave something to Max.
Thank you, Chief. Max Gagan, Assistant City Administrator. So the roughly $18,000 difference, we'll be evaluating our capital improvement plan balances now that we've finalized or starting to finalize our audit, and we'll identify a funding source, but we'll make it work.
Okay.
Chief?
Yes.
Alderman Tolman, I'm sure you've been in contact with other departments in the area. What kind of success rate do they have with this system that we are?
So Greenfield Police Department has gone to the same system that we have. They use it a little bit different. I believe our system is going to be a little bit easier on our storage capacity for how we're going to handle it. Some of the things they've done is tried to burn video to CDs, which degrade over time. If I use the right word there, degrade over time. About 10 years, Kevin, a CD can lose what's on there. This gives us different capacity to handle that. A lot of other communities have gone to Axon, which is one of the big vendors in body cameras. One of the issues with Axon is they store your video, and it's extremely expensive to have cloud storage through some of the other vendors. So this company gives us the ability to have our own servers and store our own product, our own videos in our system, and we'd have a redundancy built in with the two servers. So I know I went a little bit further than what you asked, but Greenfield's the closest with this, and they've had good success rate with their video system with this product. And there's probably a few other ones, but when we tested this, we brought in 5 or 6 different companies. We put them out on the road, we tested them, we tested the equipment. We actually put our use of force trainers in with wearing them, so they had to have an altercation with somebody to see how the magnets held the body cameras on and what the best fit for our department was. This one is also a good fit. This Panasonic or Arbitrator platform we've been using for almost 11 years for our squad video. So we've had very good success using this same platform for the squad video, and we expect that success to continue with the body camera. So it's not a new product for us, and it's actually going to be a very easy transition because we're using the same technology to copy videos, do what we need. The biggest learning curve is this one also has redaction software in the quote. So if we have to redact certain portions of the video, faces, pixelate things, take audio out, that's already built into our quote here. So it's not an additional software we have to purchase. Yes.
Chief Fred Seifert, I have a question about the body cameras. How long do they last?
I don't have a specific answer on this. We do have 3-year, part of this quote is also a 3-year upgrade. Our maintenance agreement with this for the software upgrades. Our microphones have lasted, we'd have to replace a microphone every probably 4 years or 5 years. With this technology, I don't have a specific answer. It's used in cold, it's used in hot, it's used in rain. So there's a chance we have to replace them. If we have to replace one of these units, it's going to be $900 to $1,000 a unit to replace it, or even to expand at that point. That's what it would cost for that specific piece of equipment.
Thank you.
Yes.
Chief, how many sworn officers would typically have this on their person?
So we have with a shift working, we can have, because it would only be on the shift working, we can have up to, the most people that would be there would probably be up to, we had no training. But let's use a holiday, for example. If we have people out doing different posts, we could have up to 20 people out at a time doing this. On a typical shift, we're going to have anywhere from 7 to 12, depending on the shift and the time of day.
Is the maintenance handled externally or internally, or some of each, or?
We have agreements with the company, so if there's certain things that have to be done, if there's the software upgrades, and that will all be done through like any other computer with our firmware, and I have an expert in the back of the room that can probably assist me with that, because that's been handled with our other system. But if we have to have something repaired, we'd have to send it back to the company to take care of.
And is Panasonic, I assume, was the vendor I saw, right?
Yes.
They've been at this a while.
Yes.
Continuity, obviously, and we've seen this in other stuff that someone buys them and then you're forced to transfer your technology and buy new equipment all over again.
So Panasonic Arbitrator, that's what we've been using. It hasn't changed hands since. Our local vendor is Baycom. They're the same ones that handle our Motorola radios, but Panasonic has not changed that. One of the other vendors we looked at was purchased by a bigger company, which kind of helped us make a decision to stick with consistency on what we were getting. And as far as I know, there's no plans of changing.
Because for coincidence, I read Beard's report on Axon last night, and they have a significant market share already. So it's, but you said they're exceedingly expensive in terms of and controlling and how they gouge you for storage and.
This cost of the storage for what they're providing, some departments are using them. It's just not something working with IT, we feel this would give us a better option and having access to our own video stored internally.
Is this a program that, is there any public relations aspect of this we need to concern ourselves with, or have you seen anybody else as a community worry about that, concern themselves with it, actually do something about it? Or? No,
I think every community is weighing, with everything that's going on in law enforcement right now, there's some states that are mandating body cameras.
Or do you assume that people expect that we have them on already? I don't know.
Talking to the administrator, he was expecting this was a technology we had when he was hired here. We didn't have it at that point. We had been researching it then.
I remember when we passed, that might have been finance committee even, that gave you the authorization to research it. That hasn't met in probably 4 years. So it's been going on for a while.
Correct. So some communities have, I've been following what the state is doing closely on this. I don't know what the state if they will mandate or not, but having an unfunded mandate will be problematic statewide as it is. If there are funding options in the future, we would use them to try and expand to get more cameras in the future. But this gives us, and again, this was being researched to be implemented well prior to anything that's going on with law enforcement. It's a tool for us. Body cameras are not 100% the answer for anything, but it is a tool for us to record all of our interactions with the public.
No concerns. How many squads do you change out a year? You said they're on 3-year cycles?
Yeah, it'd probably be around 4 a year. So the body camera portion wouldn't change with that, just the in-car video would. And and they've lasted 10 to 11 years. So that's each camera system may go longer than 2 changeouts for a squad.
Right. Now I'm just thinking about besides this initial, so there's another 2 years of 20,000 for 4 more vehicles each year.
Correct.
Okay.
Max, you said that, or I should say in the write-up, it's saying that in 2017, 75,000 were budgeted in the CIP. Is that been reserved and carried over all these years?
Correct. That amount is still available for this project.
Okay, and the requested amount is like what, 92 something? If I add up Baycom, CDW, and Dell, we're at 77.6. So that's a shortfall of 14.5. But then, if I understand the write-up correctly, the numbers for the warranty, 3-year warranty, comes out to be about $3,600. Okay, so that means that there's still a difference of around 10,900 that I don't quite see where that's going to.
So I'll double check. When I typed in the quotes, you should have 4 quotes. When those 4 quotes were added up, they came to the $92,137.
Maybe that's why I'm missing a sheet or something on that differential, because
the quote has, so I can do this quickly for you just to assure where we're at, if that will help. Let me get if I have my calculator on here somewhere.
CDW was twice that amount, that would be the difference.
So you have a quote of 19,176. Then you have a quote of 42,961. Then you have a quote of the total of 10,849.41. And that's 72,000. And then the last quote from Dell is, I don't think that's the actual price.
I think I got 4650.31. So those totals come out to 77.6.
Yeah.
But then again, in the Baycom quote, the Baycom quote, Steve, does not include the warranty that you were asking for.
The Baycom quote does have the licensing software, the agreement we have to have. So that's 77. I just did this math the other day, so I'm not sure. Because it does total up to what we actually needed.
Well, and that, the quoted Baycom sheet doesn't, the total does not include the warranty that you're asking for.
So I might have misspoke. I want to make sure that we get the factory warranty on the product. We're getting a service agreement for the firmware upgrades that we have to have on this product. That's the 3-year commitment from Baycom that is in there. So every camera, they charge us to be on their system so we can constantly have the software and the firmware upgraded. And that is going to be a continued cost for the future, but they're giving us a 3-year. We didn't buy extended warranties on this product. But I apologize that it's not in here. When I did the math with IT's quotes and ours, it comes out to the $92,137. I'm not trying to pull one over on you guys, honestly.
We know where you live.
And where I work. The server quote is, that is one that, because we're duplicating the server, I don't know if that's the difference. Yes.
That could be it.
So I apologize for that confusion. The server quotes and the Baycom equipment will not exceed, from our quotes, the $92,137. If it's under that, we won't be spending more than what I'm asking for right now. But the quotes that I had in hand, that was covering what we needed just to get the program moving.
Other question, what is the goal as far as the duration or time length that you're hoping to keep this information?
We have to follow open records laws. So if it's needed for a case, it would stay until that case is resolved and then whatever the open records is needed. Any other contract would be, by open records laws, 120 days unless it's needed, and then it would dump off the server. If once it hits that time, we would not keep it any longer. So we would be following all the rules that go under open records for this, any video, and we already have that in place for our squad video, so we'd be mirroring what we need for this other technology as well.
It's a good plan.
Steve, do you think there's still uncertainty on this 92? Otherwise, we'll just make the motion.
No,
not to exceed.
that would be our total that we needed. And like I said, am I missing a sheet in there? That's the difference. But between Baycom and what I had from the IT department, our total quote, what we needed for everything to get started, was that 92,137.
Get a motion?
I'll move to authorize the police chief to purchase the necessary items to replace squad video equipment and to begin the implementation of body cameras for the department in the amount of $92,137.
Golly seconds.
All in favor? Richards, aye.
Holman, aye.
Eli.
Golly, aye.
Sleeper, aye.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Have a good day, chief. Okay, number 6, Stryker power load system. Chief?
Good morning. Mike Kresick, Fire Chief, representing the Fire Department. This morning, we are requesting approval to purchase one Stryker power load system and one Stryker power cot. The Stryker power load system and the Stryker power cot are ambulance adjuncts that help support the patient during the loading and unloading of the patient from the ambulance out to the general environment. The power load system, although not a requirement in the state of Wisconsin, is a standard that's being identified throughout the nation for new ambulance builds. And basically what it does, it's mounted inside the compartment area of the ambulance and supports the cot and helps retract the cot and then extend the cot during patient loading and unloading. The power cot is a standard cot we have been using for many years at the Oak Creek Fire Department. Battery powered. Basically what that does is it automatically operates the raising and lowering of the cot with a patient or no patient on board, reducing the stress on the providers for raising or lowering the patients. The general premise behind these devices is to provide a safer environment for patient care. Automates the loading and unloading process, which certainly reduces the risk of falls or patient or equipment collapses. There's also the effect that it does reduce the wear and tear on our providers with some reduction for the potential of back, shoulder, and knee injuries. 2 of our ambulances are outfitted with this system. We are requesting the approval to outfit Med 182. We did not elect to install this system when Med 182 was purchased. This type of technology was still pretty new back then, and we weren't sure about the application. Our experience with our 2 other apparatus has been overwhelmingly positive. The feedback from our crews has been overwhelmingly positive. We're looking to retrofit Med 182 with this device. The total cost for the project, cot and power load system, $44,558.87. With funding for the project coming from the $47,000 allocated as part of CIP Project 21007. Be happy to answer any questions.
Concerns?
Chief Alderman Tolman, does the cot have application inside of like a home situation where you have stairs and things involved? Is that...
Stairs are tricky, Alderman, but the cot is going to be very similar. It's going to be identical to our existing cots, which allows for the automatic raising and lowering. That is where the significant risk comes on patient care. Certainly anytime you raise the cot or you lower the cot, there's movement involved and the concerns is with twisting or the collapsing of the undercarriage. So a little bit off track, but with the stairs, we have other devices that do allow us to maneuver stairs in addition to the cot.
That's different then.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Ken?
I'm good.
Just one other quick question, Chief.
Yes.
We only have 2 ambulance now that have that, and this will make it 3 then.
That is correct. That will outfit our 3 frontline ambulance with this device.
Next question. This is another 2021 CIP. I'm assuming when we're talking these CIPs that from my lack of knowledge here, are these all approved by council already when they discuss the budget?
Yeah, Dale,
Yeah, that's correct. So the Common Council's already approved that 2021 capital improvement plan. And one of the things that the council vested in this board is to approve of the purchases up to those thresholds
So you still got to do some song and dance routine for the police department's shortfall.
That is correct.
Okay. Get a motion on that one?
CIP's done in October, Dale, just.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what I was
It
saying.
was done. Now this board will do it whenever you see fit, so.
But the, you know, the
Yeah.
police department's request goes back to 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Get a motion on this one?
Keeper makes a motion to approve the purchase of a Stryker power load system and cot for the fire department in the amount of $44,558.87.
Yo, second.
No, roll call. Richards, aye.
Yo, aye.
Woman, aye.
Keeper, aye.
All right.
Thank you.
Number 7 is the Lucas CPR device. Before we even start on this one, I have some concerns, let's say, that the funding for this item is the one that's supposedly coming out of the chief's donation account. Those are not general funds. That's not public money. Why is this body going to be reviewing the fire department's donation account? It should be the fire department's decision as to what they're going to spend it on. No different than asset forfeiture accounts for the police department. I don't know that you can answer that, Max, but
Yeah, I can. So, based off of what the Common Council vested in this board, one of the items were any unbudgeted capital improvement projects, so long as there was a funding source identified. So I believe the threshold was up to 50,000. So what Chief is bringing forward is an unbudgeted capital project, and he's identified a funding source as that donation account. So, that was one of the items the Common Council did ask this board to take action on.
I understand the protocol of approving these projects, but I'm just saying from my perspective, the fire chief doesn't need anybody's approval. That's up to him. And if he was a smart man, the only thing he'd have to do is make a telephone call to the mayor and say, hey, listen, is it all right, in your opinion, you got any problems with me going out and buying a Lucas thing with my donation money? He should not have to come and ask anybody's permission for making those expenditures. So I like what he's doing here, and I appreciate that he's going to turn around and pull this, what should be out of general funds, and get paid for general public who are serving. That should come out of general funds, not out of his account. So that's just some seeds for thought in the future. And I'll just leave it at that. Okay? Any concerns on this item?
Nope.
Fred?
I think you've got a good point though, David. Dale, on that item.
I have any concerns?
Next, we'll check out the donation stuff and
Yes, we'll certainly look back at the roles and responsibilities document. And as Andrew mentioned at our first meeting, it's fluid, and one of the things I guess we didn't foresee is there could be an unbudgeted capital project request that was going to be funded via donations instead of, say, the general fund or a different funding source.
yeah,
So
and if
we
he
can
does
certainly
have
look at
that
it.
flexibility, then we don't need to. I mean, it's good for information, but we really don't need to concern ourselves with it publicly and officially. So
Okay.
Okay, get a motion on it?
Galley moves to approve purchase of the Lucas system with donation funds.
Seifert seconds.
All in favor? Aye.
Woman, aye.
Dale, aye.
Aye. Seifert, aye.
Galley, aye.
All opposed? Motion passed.
If it would please the board, I'd be happy to answer any questions related to it now or at a later time.
Okay, Chief, how about the Knox key?
Very good. Again, Mike Kresick representing the fire department, and this morning we are requesting approval of the purchase of the Knox key secure devices for our apparatus. The total cost of this project is $12,949, funded through CIP 21005. We utilize the Knox system in the city of Oak Creek through the fire department. And basically, the Knox system allows for businesses and more recently residential customers to place a Knox device on their building. Inside that Knox device are keys for that structure. The fire department carries the master key for those Knox devices mounted throughout the community. It allows us to gain access to the Knox box and subsequently the keys to the business. What this allows is for after-hours responses to businesses, for responses to homes. It would allow us to gain access to that structure in lieu of any damage to doors or windows, subsequently saving the business owner or the resident a substantial amount of money. We carry this system currently. Our apparatus is outfit with the Key Secure systems, and they are reaching the end of life for support and parts. So at this time, we are requesting to upgrade those devices to the latest version to allow increased support, more availability of parts, including some benefits associated with monitoring access to those key devices. As you imagine, those master keys give you access to quite a dollar value in the community. So we take the security of those keys very seriously. We make sure that the use of them is monitored and they are checked on a very regular basis to ensure that there are no missing keys and that they are secured in the devices. The newer technology does provide some added tracking capabilities that we would be looking to implement as part of this project.
You got any concerns on Knox boxes?
I had done I really didn't realize we had this capability, which is kind of interesting, to be perfectly honest. What are they doing about digital locks and rings and stuff like that?
That's a great question. That really hasn't. So I think a lot of those digital locks, the ring devices, are residential applications.
I assume they're going to be commercial at some point. Master Lock right here in town is, they brag about everything they're doing is digital, and
we would assume at some point they become much more prevalent. And even if you look at your city buildings, they're mag locks in a lot of cases with key guards. The Knox device does allow for the storage of, I guess the best way to put it is alternate unlocking devices other than keys. You can put key cards in the Knox boxes on a facility. You could put a thumb drive. You could put some sort of coding in there that would also, I believe some of those electronic locks also have a key code entry. You can put codes, laminated cards inside the Knox box that would allow you to identify a code in lieu of having an actual physical key. I think that probably over the course of the next 5 to 10 years, the prevalency of those types of locks will increase, and I would imagine that Knox will adjust to that market as appropriate. Great question.
Alderman Tolman, Chief, I guess I'm a little confused as to how a key to a key system can be outdated. I understand there's software involved, but I mean, to me, you've got, how many of these keys are out there on your actual equipment? You got them on ambulances and your engines?
Ambulances, suppression apparatus, and then our command vehicle.
So it's the software that's outdated, because a key in a box to a key to open a door, to me, would last forever.
So the device, and that's a great question. The device in our apparatus basically locks a key in place, and it requires our personnel, the user, to enter a code to access that key. And basically with the correct code entered, it unlocks that key. It allows the key to be removed from the locking device, and then they would use that to go to the facility and unlock the main box. It's an electronic and mechanical device, and what we have found with the failures with that, either it was an electronic failure in the chipset that takes the entry of the code and then unlocks the device. So there's mechanical failure on the locking mechanism for the key where it would jam or maybe not allow free removal of the key. So they age, they're used rather regularly. What we have found, our last replacement, I believe, was during the second half of 2020. The parts become less available. They're not supported by the manufacturer. I think that's the premise for the issues we're having with those devices. I hope I answered that question. And
Yeah, kind of, but I think it's overkill. That's just my opinion. It could be simplified in my
It's a
opinion.
secure storage device inside each vehicle to keep that Knox key, because like he
that
said,
is correct.
you can use that to get into any building at that point if it has a Knox box. So that's really what it is.
That's the premise for it, yes.
Any other concerns? I think it's a good investment, Chief.
Thank you.
You got an emergency vehicle rolls up on a building, you don't want to be dilly-dallying around trying to open, the customer's lockbox, if you will, that's got his master keys to enter his building. If he's going to be tied up, if you will, trying to stumble through opening a box, he just might as well knock down the door and go in. So who's going to be turning around and suffering in a case like this? It's going to be the customer. They're trying to save or guard their building or whatever. So
And I do want to clarify, certainly if we pull up to a structure and the structure is showing us an active fire situation, we do what we need to do to get inside that structure. As you know from the budget meetings, we have a significant amount of false alarm calls within the community. And when you pull up to a false alarm call and you note that there is nothing showing from the exterior that would necessarily indicate an immediate fire, but you still need to gain access to a building to clear that structure to verify that there is not a fire. It's at that access point where we can do the customers a favor by not damaging their property, but rather using the Knox devices to gain that entry.
Do you have a fairly ready acceptance in the community of the commercial properties at least that use this system? Or?
Great question. It's not required, but we do, our fire inspectors, when they do go out on their site inspections, we have a great level of acceptance already. Numerous devices throughout the community. When there are new occupancies, we present that opportunity to them. They are certainly encouraged to consider the purchase of the device. It is not required, but we encourage the occupants to take a look at them, consider how that would fit into their operations and budget, and if that's something they would like to pursue. So
Do we look at that from a design standpoint when we review plans? New stuff?
we do. Fire department does, yes.
If the question was to me,
Yeah.
we might get done with the mask.
Too much, sorry.
No, we don't look at that, but
Okay.
fire does an inspection
So
on
fire
that.
gets usually a response on all the big
Yes.
building plans anyway.
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
get a motion on this one?
I have a question before we
Fred.
do, but Mike, could the police department utilize this system also?
No.
No? It's just strictly for, okay.
Strictly for fire. There is, as you would imagine, a high degree of security associated with this and tracking of the keys to maintain those keys. They are specific to the fire apparatus. There are Knox applications available to utility companies. Sometimes you'll see a Knox box on a building with a different color tape on it. The utility companies utilize them to gain access to utility rooms in facilities. So there are other applications to it. Our particular system is specific to fire.
Is it possible, though, the police department could contact you for a little help if they had to get in, if some alarm? I'm just,
I wouldn't want to go down that road.
I'm scared.
That has got,
There's been a time where alarms have gone off and the building's completely secure, but we're not sure that it's completely secure. And so I'm just wondering if there's an application, could they contact you? That's just a thought.
There's a lot of dynamics to that process. And again, I don't know that I could adequately answer that question in this forum to say yes or no. We utilize them for a specific process for the fire department. That said, our collaboration with the police department is very good. And certainly, if the question would be to be asked, it would be a discussion point.
Thanks. Theoretical
Very
question.
diplomatic, Mike. Great.
Thank you.
The motion on this one, please.
Seifert moves to approve the purchase of a Knox Key Secure System, CIP 21005, for the fire department in the amount of $12,949.
Bill, a second.
Roll call, Richards, aye.
Owen, aye.
Bill, aye. Sorry.
Seifert, aye.
All right. Number
Thank you.
9, Brian.
Morning. This is approval for a progress payment for the Wellesley Drive water main project. Looking for $77,738.62. The contractor is Five Star Energy Services. Roughly, they're about 75% complete on the project. Hoping to have this wrapped up in May. This will probably be a 3-payment plan here. This account is roughly about half of the project cost for this one, this approval.
Any concerns? Get a motion.
Seifert moves to approve a purchase payment for Weatherly Drive water main in the amount of $77,738.62.
Valley seconds.
Roll call, Richards, aye.
Bill, aye.
Owen, aye.
Seifert, aye.
All right. Number 10, Oakview condos.
This is a request to approve the payment for the oversizing of the public water main along Howell Avenue with this development. As part of the development agreement in February of 2020, the commission at that time approved the oversizing from an 8-inch to a 12-inch main. This extends our 12-inch line along Howell Avenue. Along the project, it goes on the first street north-south in the development and extends south through that project, so we continue that 12-inch main further south if we ever extend into Caledonia. The 12-inch is not required for the project, so for the utilities policy, we will pay up to $8.66 dollars per foot for the upsizing of the 12-inch main. We installed 1,462 feet of 12-inch along that north-south road, so we got a payment of $12,692.10 that's due to the developer. This is funded by the utility.
This is common practice, Mike, for your information, that we pay for oversizing. Customer pays for the baseline.
It has been several years since we have used this policy.
Brian, does this also go into, this pipe go into Caledonia?
It does not yet.
Right now, but it could eventually go into Caledonia is what I'm getting at.
That is the planning for that. So it is extended that we could extend down Howell Avenue on into Caledonia with that 12-inch main. This currently ends, if you're familiar with the plan, it ends at their clubhouse. It heads back out towards Howell Avenue. There's fire hydrant on the end there, and it stops at that clubhouse. So we'd have to extend from there on down Howell Avenue.
Thank you.
That's just a good plan.
Get a motion on 10.
Bill, move to approve the payment for the residences at Oakview condominiums oversizing for the extension of public water main at 10730 South Howell Avenue in the amount of $12,692.10.
Seifert seconds.
Roll call, Richards, aye.
Bill, aye.
Owen, aye.
Seifert, aye.
Okay, asphalt job on number 11.
Not asphalt field,
Oh, I was gonna say, I was a little confused.
highly engineered playground.
Yeah, I'm Ted Johnson, I'm Director of Public Works. We're putting in a request to do some repair work at our Lake Vista Park. Some of the poured in place, surface on, the playground there, it hasn't been able to drain out very well. There wasn't adequate under drain put in. I guess it wasn't anticipated that the stuff would hold water kind of like a bowl. It doesn't leach into the ground, and what it's happening is it's causing the stuff to kind of wave. There's a few spots in there that are at least 5-6 inches of like trip hazard when kids are trying to exit the playground area. And so what we would like to do is put in some under drain into these areas so that it would adequately drain better, and then re-pour in some sections of the poured in place playground surface. We only got, as I said, one quote for this, and this was with Meek Playground Systems. And the reason for that is because, well, two reasons really. When we had put out for bid the areas underneath the other playground, we only got one bid, and that's from them. They're about the only place around here that does that. Another is we felt this would give us a better color match and maybe not goof up our warranty having the same people do the work. So we put this in as a capital project in the CIP program, and it's the identical quote that they had given it to us, and they've held their quote since the CIP, and we had them update it so it's current, and we'd like to proceed with it.
Sons?
A lot of use.
Yeah, it gets a heck of a lot of use. I've been down there, I see, it definitely needs work, no doubt. So the drainage is in conjunction with the surface too, this part of the surface.
Correct, yeah. I mean, I don't think it was ever anticipated. I think they thought the water would leach into the ground. But actually, if you go down there after a real heavy rain, and step on the surface, it's like a sponge. I mean, the water will come out along the edge of the concrete. It's just it's not soaking into the ground. So what we feel we need to do is put some under drain in there to some of the drainage ditches that are very close to it. They just don't have it in there right now, so.
Surfacing itself is actually permeable. The water will move through it to get to the drain.
No, I think that's more waterproof. I think what it's happening is it's coming in underneath it. There's a ring of concrete that's poured down, and then the ground is actually really compacted clay from when they put that cap in. And so, it comes in along the edges of the area too, and eventually you get enough water and it rolls over to the edge and seeps down in there, and then it holds it. It won't go away. So we need to get it so it drains properly, and then obviously we're going to have to either raise or fix that areas that aren't level with the concrete area now.
So this is not an asphalt base?
No, it's poured in place, but it's, if you've ever seen it, it's kind of like a rubber. They mix it all up and it's like rubber, and they pour it in there and they finish it almost like concrete.
Ed, when do you expect the work to actually happen, and how long will it take?
This won't take very long. They'll be able to finish it in probably a week to 2 weeks tops. I'm hoping that there's weather requirements for temperature. So within the next month, they'll be able to do it. I mean, and they won't have to close the entire area down. The biggest problem with doing that is when you pour it, you got to kind of station somebody down there for quite a while because you got a lot of little kids running around. So that you don't get it all kind of stomped on and this and that.
So, I mean, it'll be an inconvenience for, a week at the best, I would think.
How old is this facility?
Oh,
5 years?
yeah, maybe 5 or 6 years.
Is this a design problem that should have been caught to begin with?
Well, I guess, you could look at it as, we wish we had designed it with under drain in it in the first place, I guess, yeah. But, I didn't personally design it, but I think that the thought process on this whole thing was the water would leach into the ground and we wouldn't be having these problems. Unfortunately, we are.
We have that kind of design anyplace else in the city?
No, it's used in other places, but this is the first place that we've actually used the port in place in the city on the playgrounds. It's very popular and we had hoped to use it more. And, I guess live and learn, right? So, I mean, we ever do something like this in the future at one of the other parks, we'll definitely make sure that we have some under drain or some drainage pipe in there to take care of any outstanding, water issues that might come up.
How soon could they get this done if this is a safety issue like what Alderman Tolan's talking about?
Well, we would be able to start on it soon after the approval. I would go and let the contractor know, and he would put it on his schedule. He seemed to feel that he would be able to do this sometime in May. Would be able to schedule us.
Motion. Seifert moves to approve the award to work to Meek Playground Surfacing LLC in the amount of $24,200 to perform repairs to correct drainage and settlement issues at Lake Vista Park Playground.
Holman will second.
Roll call. Richards, aye.
Yeah, aye.
Holman, aye.
Seifert, aye.
Thank you.
Okay. Utility vouchers.
So on the standard voucher report for your perusal, any questions that you might have.
Certainly the one on the top of the page, city bills for 2020. Is that the pilot payment, $750,000?
No, sir, that's all the life insurance, workers' comp insurance, those types of things for the year. Typically, you would see that in a quarterly basis, but for 2020, we got billed, we got the quarterly bills all came at one time, so that the year is worth it, which is why it looks so large.
Actually letting the utilities slack here. You let them slide for 4 quarters.
Oh, no, the other way around. They didn't bill us.
Should have rounded up.
I got a question for you, Mike.
Yes, sir.
Page 16, the Milwaukee Metro Sewage District.
Yep.
Is that a 1 month cost, a 3 month? It's a big chunk of change there.
So we do get billed monthly from them. This worked out on a couple of items on this because of our meeting schedule, because we were sort of early in the month last year and a little bit, or last month and a little later in the month this month. There's 2 months worth in here, is what you're saying.
Because it looked a little high this time.
Absolutely,
compared to
yes.
Previous times.
Yeah, it's just because we were able to catch those 2 months worth of bills from them.
Okay, thank you. Other concerns on vouchers? Get a motion.
Gail moves to approve the utility vouchers as shown.
Seifert seconds. Sigali seconds. Okay. Roll call, Richards, aye.
Gail, aye.
Holman, aye.
Seifert, aye.
Aye.
Okay, utility investments.
All right, pretty normal month for the investments. Any questions? We're down to 0.06 on the interest rate, which is awesome.
Beautiful. You gotta keep your money there pretty soon.
When are we gonna end up paying them?
Another 300,000 out of the BMO account, so that's dwindling down.
Yeah, that's looking good. Concerns?
Do they have a threshold where they're gonna boot us out, or do we know?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
As soon as whatever security matures, they just
And always they're
transfer over to our
mandated
checking.
as maturities roll over, so into general fund or LGIP.
Okay. Administrative operations, item 14.
So with these, the next couple anyhow, you've seen them in your packet. If you have any questions, I would highlight anything that's particularly interesting or unusual this time. And we really don't, for the three, the only exception I would like to note is on the distribution report, the crew replaced a section of sanitary sewer out in the system. That's not something we've normally done in the past, and they did it very successfully and actually quite quickly. They did a really, really nice job. I went driving through to see how the crew was doing. It was probably 1:30, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, driving through the subdivision with Barton Oaks, and what the heck street were they on? I'm not sure I remember. Oh, there's a tiny little patch and there's no one around. They were already done and completed and cleaned up, and it looked like they had never been there, minus a patch in the asphalt that was
Did
needed.
we find that through the cameras or something? How did we know?
Yeah, we definitely did find it with the cameras. There was a crack in a newer piece of PVC. The nice piece about it was a lateral Y. The crack was on the main line, but it was a dead end manhole on the other side. So we really didn't have a lot of service to have to worry about within that. So yeah, they did a really, really nice job with that.
You gotta do special stuff to deal with. I imagine there's gotta be, it's a little dirtier than dealing with water,
Yes.
right? Is there precautions from
There is for sure. And a lot of times in a case like that, we would have to bypass pump in order to be able to do that repair. But because this was on the dead end, we didn't have to do that.
Okay.
So that's one of the reasons why we chose to take on this task, is it's a good try without a lot of risk.
otherwise who usually does? Do you have to farm that out?
Yeah, we would hire a contractor. In fact, we have a rehabilitation contract going on now, and they did a
A business
repair.
sewer or somebody like that, or?
Yeah, Globe did the digging up piece of it on Centennial, on Groveland. So, yeah.
I did have a question, Mike.
Yeah.
And you can shed some light on, maybe it's just a quirk of accounting standpoint, or maybe there's something else going on. If I look on administrative operations page and the plan operations page.
Yep.
And they both show year-to-date numbers that are a little odd. I mean, we show a significant increase in year-to-date gallons billed. Yet we show pumpage actually down
Now, yes.
amount. Are we more efficient? Did we find a big leak at some point?
Now, what this is the plant is always ahead of billing. So they're always a quarter ahead of billing. So
Okay.
what gets pumped out of the plant today isn't going to get billed for a while. So we always get that lag in the wintertime.
Okay.
In the summertime, we'll kind of have the opposite.
That's just a quirk of the
It is.
calendar.
Yep.
All right. Too bad. I thought we maybe found some lost water, yeah. The industrial side of that, is that still We Energy's drawing a lot more water than,
Yeah.
It's almost all we energy, yeah.
okay.
Is that the industrial one
Yeah.
you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's still going on.
That's all I had. Did you guys, you like the engineering reports and the DPW reports in here? So you find that useful? I asked Andrew to include them this time just to make sure Fred, you haven't seen those before probably, but.
No.
Okay. You want them there or? Okay.
Why don't we take them one by one here? So let's,
Yeah, we were gonna just use them as if we had questions, we were gonna read them. If not, they're there for support. We weren't gonna go through each and every page on its own.
I had questions on a couple of pages.
Well, then ask away, right?
Okay. On the distribution, and collection operations, the water main break on Howell. Is that part of the piece for the replacement project? Right?
It is.
Okay.
Mike, I had a question for you, just because I noticed it the other day. We replaced, where our most recent fix was the curb lane is, the pavement is really rippled up on Howell Avenue.
Push up it.
South of Forest Hill?
What's that, Dan?
South of Forest Hill?
I don't remember if it's, it strikes me as south of Marcos.
Yep. Yeah, that's a couple years old.
That's been there a while, so that's okay. Right.
We're hoping that'll be taken care of with the relay project, so.
That's just a patch job?
Yeah, we're gonna coordinate possibly with DPW too about maybe milling that down.
Okay.
But then hopefully it's close enough to a lateral where that can be taken care of with the relay. But yeah, that was kind of our fault.
And for whatever reason, I didn't see it till last week.
Yeah.
On plant operations, like I think you were mentioning before that the pumpage was down 3.9% for the month. And then we had that raw water pump station, we got issues with the roof. How old is that roof and what kind of roof structure is it? Is it a flat roof over there, rubber membrane, or?
It's a flat roof.
Michael, can you come on the microphone? Sorry.
I just nodded.
It is a flat roof, but it's on a slope, if that makes sense. It's flat roof technology or process, but it's on kind of a quarter half pipe with the slope of the roof. The water seems to be running down either on top or in between the layers and pooling up on the east end and coming through the walls.
If that's a membrane roof or a shingle roof, or
It's a membrane of some sort.
any idea how old that puppy is?
Older than I am at the plant, so it's been there a while. So they had them resurface it, recoat with a rubber roll-on layer the last 10 feet on the east side to try to get it up to the drain area.
Might be looking at a permanent fix in the next budget, maybe.
Next few years anyhow, yes, yeah, I think so.
And then under engineering operations, Howell Avenue water main relay. When's the bid timing on this one?
We're hoping for July to have that bid out. We're currently working with R.A. Smith on the design. We had a meeting last week with DOT, trying to get their buy-in on what we're gonna be doing with the road. That's causing some changes in our design, so we're working through those and working with the DOT to get that accomplished.
Concrete back.
We do. It's all slurry backfill. Then the concrete pavement section, asphalt on top of that. So replacing what's out there in kind. We're changing we're going to go with an open cut from Groveland to Forest Hill. We're going to change that to do a directional bore all the way through there, and then do our open cut just at each lateral. So we're going to have a whole bunch of little patches down that east curb lane when we relay this road.
It's gonna be bid out this year or for next year?
This year, yeah.
Will be.
Yes, we want to have that done by the end of the year.
You said the lateral cuts will probably be in the curb lane at least?
Yes, the anticipated layout is going to be basically on that lane line of the curb. So between that outside lane and the curb lane, that's where that water main is going to move to. It currently is in the left lane on the northbound side, so
So we're going to shift it over and try and get out of traffic and keep it off to the side as much as we can. We're battling with tons of utilities running down this corridor and sanitary sewer and storm sewer that's existing in that curb lane. And we got to maintain our 10 feet of separation from those lines. So that's getting us pushed out a little further than we wanted to be. Yes. It is not going to be fun on Howell Avenue this fall when that construction starts, so.
So I'm not real optimistic we're gonna have good bids.
No.
Complicated project.
It's a very complicated project, tight time frame to get it done, so it's gonna be busy.
Do anything this year.
That is a possibility. We'll have to evaluate when we get those bids in.
Okay, Public Works, Ted had turned around and did 900 linear feet of storm sewer, Putes Road resurfacing project.
Yeah, that was working with engineering, kind of helping out, making our money go as far as it will for the road projects. It's actually they're putting in the last piece of pipe today. It's on Putes Avenue up by in between 13th and 27th Street on the south side of the road. Put in. Yeah, it's about 850 feet, I think, of 18 and 15-inch storm sewer pipe. And basically, it's filling in some of that ditching area over there. We also have some elliptical that's going to go under the road, but we're not going to install that until the road's actually closed.
That's great. Any other concerns on those? Oh, hey, Sully, can you talk about the employee shots and where we're at with employees all getting COVID shots? And are we back on regular time schedules or whatever? Can you talk about that?
Yeah, so we did get the opportunity to have the vaccine actually twice. So everyone that wanted it has gotten both rounds, probably a month ago now, so they would be considered fully vaccinated. We have gone back to normal work schedules. We're still maintaining social distancing in the lunchrooms. So where the lunchrooms are small, we're separating lunches, but everyone's at least starting at the same time and quitting at the same time, bringing those operations sort of back to normal.
Discussions with Franklin going on?
Well, there's nothing on the agenda, so I don't want to go too far.
All right. Any other concerns on administrative operations for utility? All right. Traffic and safety. Leading the charge on this one.
So, talking about item 15 then, Dale?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, I'm going to share my screen. And this is, there is a report, an analysis and report that goes along with this item. And what I handed out I sent by email yesterday. We just did receive it yesterday, the final analysis, actual numbers related to one of the alternatives for the traffic control staging plan. Sent that by email late in the day yesterday, and then I distributed a hard copy to everybody just before the meeting. So there's a lot of numbers, and I mean, it's a document that, obviously there's no expectation that you'd be getting through it, but we will reference it and give you the highlights of it. as we discussed in these alternatives. So the project is the Drexel Avenue Rehabilitation Project, which is slated to be constructed in 2022. And it is basically from 13th Street to Howell Avenue. It's a concrete road that needs concrete patching in many locations. Many locations for the entire width of the roadway in both the eastbound and westbound directions. And after the patching takes place, then we would do what's called a dowel bar retrofit, which is grinding in slots, dropping in the dowel bars, grouting them in. What these dowel bars then will do will hold each successive slab tight with the previous one, and will eliminate or mitigate to a great degree the differential settlement and heaving of these slabs, making it one solid pavement. And then we will diamond grind the surface to finish off, get a nice smooth ride for that road segment, and really shape it up for many years to come. So what we need to do, because this is a main corridor, is we need to figure out a way. I don't think that anybody's going to let us close this road down in both directions, which would be a really nice way to proceed, but the public would not like us very much at all. So what we need to do is we're looking at we looked at some alternatives for how we could proceed and keep traffic moving through this corridor. And so we've got really two alternatives that we're presenting here. Alternative one, I've got that up on the screen. It's basically, we would keep the eastbound traffic running in the eastbound direction and the westbound traffic in the westbound lanes, currently doing one lane of work while traffic continues on the open lane, and then when that is completed, flip-flopping and doing the other lane. And we've got some big reservations about this alternative, and I've kind of outlined the pluses and minuses for both alternative one and alternative two. Alternative two is, let's close down the eastbound lanes entirely. There will be no more eastbound traffic. That will be detoured around and work on those lanes, while the westbound traffic can continue westbound. And then flip-flopping and doing it the other way, where then we're working on the westbound lanes, and eastbound is open to traffic on the newer lanes. So some of the drawbacks that we had, and this is that analysis that I handed out before the meeting started, is that with traffic down to one lane in each direction, there's 25,000 cars that travel on this roadway every day, is we would have some really long queues and some long delays of traffic trying to get through these signalized intersections. And if you look at on the analysis that I gave you, one example of this is evident on page 3 and then page 4. If you look at the South 10th Street traffic operations table, on page 3 and page 2 and page 3, up at the top of page 2, if you look at the 10th Street intersection, and I'm referring to the eastbound through lanes, there is a 22.6 second time frame for which you will get through that signal, with a traffic queue, a backup of traffic of up to 275 feet. If we were to implement this traffic in one direction, in one lane, and you look at page 3 under the 10th Street, you're going to see that that delay, which was 22 seconds, is now 240 seconds. So, I mean, we're talking, 4 minutes as opposed to basically a half a minute with a queue of over 1,000 feet. So, I mean, we would see traffic actually, backed up into previous intersections at times. So we wanted to, bring that to your attention and have you weigh in on that. We, as a staff, are recommending against that option. So with alternative one, it's the backup, the queues. We're going to have a lot of unhappy travelers. There's other things that cause us concern, and I'm going to zoom in on the screen a little bit. If you can take a look at, here is the traffic control we would have with alternative one. You can see the work zone and then the remaining travel lane. By the time you put your traffic control device out there and the distance that is needed from the work zone to where that is placed, you have one 10-foot travel lane, just 10 foot on that main corridor. And one, I don't think you'd have trucks on there. We'd have to we'd have to prohibit trucks from traveling through that corridor during this project. Two, it's very tough to make turning movements. Three, not only will you have those long queues and upset travelers, you also need to have large construction vehicles, dump trucks, concrete trucks that are coming in and out of that work zone, having to get into that 10-foot lane, and as they, come to and fro from the project site. So that, in our mind, basically eliminates option one, but we will call that option 1A, because then the analysis went further and looked at, well, what if we're down to the one lane in each direction, but we prohibit left-hand turns off of that roadway? And therefore, say you're going westbound on Drexel and you decide, I got to turn into Delco Way, or I got to turn into Main Street or 6th, you can't make that movement. And that, if we do that, we do improve the movement through that corridor significantly. We go from a level of service F, which is F for failing, to a level of service of C. So we're doing a lot better, but we still have somewhat restricted movements. Understandable. We're going to have that with any option we choose, but you're not having the left-hand turn movements. On top of that, we still have the narrow lane. We still have that kind of unsafe condition of construction vehicles in and out of that travel way. So we've got some reservations on that option as well. On top of that, with no left-hand turns there, we're going to see more left-hand turns as at either end of the construction zone. So we're going to see increased left-hand turns at the 13th Street intersection and at the Howell intersection. And that would necessitate, at least with this analysis, it was like they incorporated split phasing at those two main intersections. The split phasing is basically we're eastbound and westbound waiting to go through the intersection. Okay, the first of that split phasing is everything is red except for westbound. Okay, so those vehicles on Drexel heading westbound, they can go straight, and they can go left, and they can go right. Then that cycle ends, and then the eastbound can do the same thing. So what that's going to mean is longer delays for the northbound and southbound traffic at those intersections as well. So not real desirable there, but we still think that that 1B is significantly better than 1A. As you'll see in the report, then we had we had a preferred alternative that we'd like to, present, and that is the one I explained before. Let's shut down the westbound traffic entirely, detour it around, and work on those westbound lanes and keep the eastbound only direction going. And then, of course, flip-flop that. And we see a lot of advantages to that. You've got a safer construction zone. You've got the ability to work more efficiently because we've got a lot of concrete patches that many of them span the entire length of the entire width of the roadway. They could cut that out in their entirety and pour them back in, let them cure. Basically, they can move from east to west or west to east and keep it an efficient way to proceed. The analysis indicates that would be a 10 to 20% savings in duration of the project, and time is money. So I think that we would probably be able to do it more reasonably from an economic standpoint as well. So with that, I guess the thought is that traffic would detour for the direction that's not allowed through that corridor. Traffic would detour up Howell to Rawson to 13th and back down, and vice versa. And those are state and county roads. Decent capacity, especially on Howell and on Rawson. 13th Street we know is still 2 lanes, but with that shorter duration, we think that that's a feasible way to go. As far as access, the industrial parks north of Drexel, if they can't get on to Drexel because of what are the closed lanes at that particular moment, they can go north to Rawson and they're on to I-94. People that want to access Drexel Town Square, they still can. There's Town Square away off of Howell Avenue. There's from the south via Forest Hill Avenue, and then we've got the private roads that are in and around Woodman's. I guess my point is that there's a lot of options. We would certainly not be directing anybody towards private roads, but people can find their way around in and out. And we also think we're the alternative to, potentially, let me, I'm gonna bring that graphic up. So here's what that would look like. In this graphic, we've got the eastbound lanes closed off and being worked on, and then the westbound lanes are open from curb to curb to be able to get their patching done, the dowel bar retrofit, the grinding, and pavement markings. You'll see a note here that says that intersection access may remain open. So when Drexel Town Square was constructed, these new intersections, Main Street, Delco, and then the improvements at 6th Street, a lot of that segment of roadway was improved, reconstructed, because we needed turn lanes and storm sewer work and everything else that went in there. So some of these areas are going to need very little attention on this project. So I guess if we go this route, we'll explore that, but we think that perhaps 1 or 2 of these movements could still be allowed. So even more potential access off of Drexel to Drexel Town Square and vice versa.
Mike, if I could summarize this, I think the report is absolutely outstanding. I mean, it gives you a lot of detail. It shows you, the pros and the cons of each option. And in summary, I guess what the report is saying, alternate 2, option B, am I correct? And what's the duration of this project?
We don't have it entirely nailed down, and we're working towards 60% plans. So I think we'll have that by the time we're at that milestone, and that's coming up. We're thinking 2.5 to 3 months for westbound work and 2.5 to 3 months for eastbound work. So let's say 5 to 6 months. And if we were to choose one of the options where we're trying to work on one lane at a time in each direction, with that 10 to 20%, we're looking at maybe 7 to 8 months. So we'd like to. I guess that's where engineering is coming up with the recommendation of the alternate 2. And yet we're here to answer questions if there's a big pushback on that. We certainly can explore alternate 1B. I don't think anybody wants to go with 1A with those cues and those backups that we see in the analysis.
I think common sense says, option 2 is much better, much more efficient for the contractor.
Yeah.
And the expediency of being able to turn around and get that eastbound lane open, because I assume that's going to be the constraint, is people wanting to go into the shopping center from the eastbound, coming off the expressway or whatever. So that will be the critical one, is the eastbound implementation of this project. And I also think the city is extremely smart at jumping on this program as far as the DOT funding goes, because that's not always there. And if anything, with the potential that there's going to be more infrastructure programs out there, we ought to be researching any other areas like bridges, whatever the city's got, to be turning around and putting some of these plans in place in case money like that becomes available. Does anybody else have any concerns on this report?
I had a couple questions when you get there. Michael?
I'm good, Dale. You asked the questions that I was going to answer. So thank you.
Oh, Mike, I believe you probably met with business owner groups. How are we maintaining access for employees for, there's not a lot of businesses per se on the north side of the road. But there are some, and there are, there's manufacturing, plus there's obviously retail or service related driveways there. So what is the plan to maintain access for those folks during the closing of a westbound construction cycle?
Right. We're going to have to, we can't shut anybody off entirely. So if we can leave a short, a narrow corridor open for access only for that driveway, then that's what we'll have to do. We still think that, doing that at those few locations is much better than trying to keep traffic moving in both directions on each side.
This is not the only place in the world that boulevard reconstruction has occurred. Yeah. So obviously there's solutions.
Right.
You met with the business owners, I assume? Or?
We have had one correspondence with everybody in the area, including the business parks. And that was basically to introduce the project and to get feedback. We did get comments back on suggestions for the project that we will, we're going to review those and get those incorporated where feasible into the design. But certainly whatever we decide on this traffic control plan, and then we go back to our designers and we shape that up and work with what can we do to maintain access in the best way possible and still achieve our goals of moving this project along and having a safe construction zone. We're going to be in constant communication then with these property owners. We're going to have direct contact with them. Earlier on in the project, because of the state funding, we were not allowed to have an in-person public informational meeting. That was the direction from the state. Now, given the state of where things are, we don't know because it changes from week to week. We look like
handcuffs too on there.
we look like we were getting close to be able to have people come in and see some graphics, some boards, and really relay what we're doing and get some good input. But I mean, we're gonna communicate with them. We're gonna count on them then talking to their customers, their clients, their employees. You need to access us from this way, and for the most part, if it's coming off the interstate, get to the Rawson interchange and then come from the north. If it's the industrial parks, but those that are right along the corridor, same thing. I mean, we're just going to have to work with them and help them figure out what's the best and safest way for their employees to get to them and customers.
Well, you're well aware. Alderman Kirkowski obviously is significantly concerned about the fact that we achieve proper notification and feedback and make sure people are involved. So
definitely,
make sure Steve's aware of what we're.
Yes.
Just make sure he gets a copy of this. Maybe maybe you can just lead him through a little bit, just so he knows exactly what it means, what we discussed here.
Yes, for sure.
Appreciate that.
I would assume you're going to get a rash from the water utility for blocking their access too. So be prepared.
We'll get them in and out. They'll be fine. They might not be happy, but we'll get them there.
Tell Brian he's got to go to parking.
Well, access road will be useful for what?
Absolutely.
You're going to have a little problem. Of course, you guys can go through Culvers. My kind of a question. I'm a little concerned about the truck traffic in Drexel Town Square when you do the eastbound lane. You've seen the trucks now when we're doing the construction of the apartments, but I think, we're going to have to emphasize to those people on the construction for that eastbound, because that could tie up a lot of problems of people getting in and out of their apartments with those trucks.
Right, and I think, if they can head southbound on 6th Street and get out to Forest Hill, that's probably the best option. But the other thing with this is if we can proceed where we've got full lanes open eastbound and then full lanes open westbound, that won't preclude some truck traffic. I mean, they've got the width to travel, and they've got the width to make the turns. So that's another reason why we're promoting alternative 2.
These truck drivers sometimes have a mind of their own, and they just do what they want to do.
Right.
Any other concerns on this item? Get a motion on
It was just for discussion, Dale.
recommendation staff report saying it's asking us for
Is it?
approval. Yeah. The minutes do not, what the report does.
I noticed that the agenda basically says it's a discussion, so if there needs to be official direction.
The staff
Could that be
report,
made as a
it
motion?
clearly says that the Board of Public Works and Capital Assets consider approving a preferred traffic control staging plan for the proposed 2022 Drexel Avenue rehabilitation project.
I can just step in. Because the agenda just says discussion to direct staff, I don't think a formal motion would be warranted. Just want to make sure we're not violating open meeting laws. But if the board wants to provide feedback, like via consensus as to that alternative, I think that would be appropriate.
Have any negative concerns in regards to this? Say alternate 2, option B?
Oh, at least for the time being, that seems like the most logical.
Yeah, I'm on board with 2. I like in conjunction with the traffic movement, I like the safety aspect of it. I think it's going to be a lot safer doing it.
Yes.
Guys are working on that with the.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Yikes. Like, well, obviously, never mind. No. You gotta make sure whoever commits enough resources to actually, so they're not just having a 3-man crew out there To the extent we can, make sure they are required to commit enough resources to actually carry on regularly with activity.
Right, right. It certainly makes no sense to utilize this plan and then they're not hitting it hard, so, and we will build that into the contract time of the bid specification, so.
Right, so the consensus is that we should go forward with the alternate 2, option B, and we'll say our prayers for you.
Appreciate that.
Any other items? Get a motion to adjourn.
Clifford moves for adjournment.
Kelly seconds.
Roll call. Richards, aye.
Hill, aye.
Woman, aye.
Clifford, aye.
Kelly, aye.
Okay, motion's approved.